Oh.
That helps. Yeah, there's actually one payment, 1,256 on February 14th, never hit the bank.
Though an estimated 100 million black holes roam our Milky Way galaxy, these objects are invisible and so very difficult to detect. Astronomers now believe they may have precisely measured the mass of an isolated black hole for the first time. After 6 years of observations, NASA's Hubble Space Telescope found evidence for a lone black hole about 5,000 light-years away wandering through interstellar space. Black holes roaming our galaxy are born from rare, monstrous stars, less than 1,000th of the galaxy's stellar population, that are many times more massive than our Sun. These stars die in supernova explosions, their cores crushed by the star's own gravity into a black hole. Because the detonation is asymmetrical, the black hole may get a kick, sending it careening through our galaxy. Hubble detected the magnified and deflected light from a star lined up exactly behind the potential black hole as its intense gravity warps space itself. The measurements indicate the black hole weighs 7 solar masses and is traveling through space at 100,000 miles per hour. But don't worry, there's a lot of space between Earth and this roaming black hole.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, Scott. Now you have an echo. Anyways, hey everyone, Scott Roberts of Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance, and you are here on our program Focus on Astrophotography. And we have Tyler Bowman is out on the road right now, but we have Donnie and Donna Houston, who came literally to the rescue. Okay, so very, very short notice. I hate to tell you how short a notice this was, but apparently they dropped everything to be here with us today, which is great. And nice to have you guys with us. They're in studio here at Explore Scientific, and I saw them prepping up their PowerPoint presentation and such. So thank you very much, Donnie and Donna, for doing this. It's wonderful. And what have you got to show us today?
Well, we've came in and we've been working on a pet project that we've had dreams of for literally years now. And anyone who knows us knows we've been doing this for an excess of 30 years. And so what we're working on is a rollaway roof observatory. The one that we chose is from SkyShed, and we purchased their plans, and this thing is going together beautifully. So that's what we intend to do today, is go through what we've been through with this and the ups and downs, and I'll give you a sneak peek. It's mostly ups. We have very little complaints, and it's been a blast so far. We're almost finished.
You built this thing from scratch, I guess. Is that right?
We did. That's correct.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, we've got viewers watching us right now, and they're saying hello. Tarek from the UAE is on with us, and Paul Burgart. I imagine Mike Wiesner's here, and who else is with us? That looks like it for right now, but I expect Beatrice Hines will come on and several others. So thanks for watching, and let's get going with the Houstons and their observatory project.
Fantastic. We appreciate the opportunity to do this. I know there's plenty of people out there with interest in building an observatory or purchasing a dome even. For us, we chose, thanks to Donna, to go with a rollaway roof observatory, and we had spoke with Scott some about it too, and that was his recommendation as well, just because not only do we image, we like to use more than one scope at a time, and honestly, with a dome, you just really don't have the room to do that. The one we chose is actually 10 feet by 12 feet, and that permits us to not only image with our pier, but to set up a couple of more scopes on tripods and have ample room to use 3 scopes at one time to image and to observe. And we enjoy having people out and doing outreach, so that also affords us the opportunity to do this. So that's one of the things that we're going to do today here is talk about what we've went through in order to get here. And I know, particularly now with supply chain issues and cost, that's something that weighs heavily on everyone's mind. So we intend to go through those things as well and try and keep it brief, but try and keep it informative. And I've got to tell you, Donna's been a huge asset with this thing, and she and I have done it from the ground up ourselves, and it really has not been difficult. So I encourage anyone who has an interest to reach out to us or to you guys and talk about this, because it's something that's really within most people's not only budget but time frame and is worthwhile, I think. You want to add anything to that, Donna?
Yeah, it's been a fun project to work on with him, and I was nervous at first because of reading plans and stuff. But when they send the plans in, it's very straightforward. You can copy out which set of plans you're working on at a time, and literally it takes you through baby steps. So it's been easier than I thought.
I don't know if you have access to this on the screen currently or not, but we've got one up there with our walls on it, and it is the beginnings or the bones of the process, and we really felt good about the size of the structure for us from the get-go. And just to let you know, we chose Sky Shed to get our plans, and I'm sure there's plenty of good ones out there, but this one has been just so easy for us. And if you keep everything square and true, which is not difficult, just keep in mind your 3, 4, 5 magic triangle, and if anyone doesn't know what that is, we can elaborate on that as well. But that'll keep everything nice and square for you, which is really important for this rollaway roof design. But we'll go through some more images on this thing and talk about it. I will tell you up front, our cost in this thing for the structure itself so far has been close to $3,000, and honestly, by the time we've finished buying the rest of the materials and get this thing done, I think we're going to be somewhere in the ballpark of probably $3,500, which I think is quite reasonable compared to some of the domes that are out there, which really don't afford you a lot of room, and you can get into this thing for about the same amount of money. So let's pull one up here. This is the bone structure, and see if we can let you see the walls going up on the thing, and there we have that there. So there's many different ways to sheet this thing. You can put lap siding on it. Obviously, this is not, or you can use sheet, and we chose a laminate weather-resistant sheet to put on here and stained this thing. I think the original plan suggested maybe a couple of windows, and for me, I wanted the opportunity to look out toward our road and see what's up or interact with people. But we also know that light is our nemesis, so more windows mean more things to have to cover. So we went with a one window option, and this is prior to our cute little shutters that we designed to put on this thing as well. That's one of the things we like about this, is we get to doll it up, and Donna can tell you a little bit about the shutters that we chose and what we did as far as design goes.
Do we have a picture of it?
I think we do.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
You do. There's the slab, and you can see a side up with looks like paneling and a window in there, or some
All
siding.
right, let's see if we've got the shutters themselves to display, and I don't
I don't know if we have the
Got
final
those
one.
or not.
Yeah, no.
Actually, we do not have
We
that.
didn't
I'll
have
have
the
to get
final
that
one.
and post it on our website. But it really turned out cute. It's basically wooden shutters with Saturn and stars and things on there on either side of that window you see. And
And
we
we chose the same color. It's a natural cedar stain so that it matches the other shed on the opposite side. So from the outside, it's not an eyesore.
The picture that we've got up there now, we couldn't wait. We were in the process of building, but when you've got a clear sky, you try and take advantage of it. So that's us out there with one of our Explore Scientific scopes, and we're downloading and processing as we're going there. So it really, even at this stage, it really has been nice to have the opportunity to continue to image. And this thing blocks wind. It takes out neighborhood light. It is just a real godsend for us, and we couldn't be happier. So again, it's far from finished on the inside there. As you can see, it will be insulated. It will have wall coverings up, and will be fully finished on the inside as well.
I like the way that you painted the ceiling to look like the sky.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? It's got the sort of the planetarium effect going on there. But
Neat job. It's great.
let's see what else we can get into here. I apologize for not having more pictures ready. It's kind of short notice, but we're not complaining at all. We love the opportunity to come up here and talk with folks and get to show off this stuff. And let me see if I can drag this next one up here. As it is a rollaway design, this is the gantry in the back that we were processing and actually working on today. And those rails will run down either side, and it's basically just garage door tracks, and will support the weight of this roof as it rolls off onto the gantry in the back. And there's jack plates down at the base, which will allow us to keep everything true during settling or anything that goes on. So there's, you can see the color. We've started staining at this point as well. And we're really pleased with the stain we're using on that too. It goes on well and is supposed to last up to 20 years. So it's really nice.
There was different ways that we could have chosen to roll the roof off, like towards the front or towards one side. We chose the back, towards the back of the property, because it's the southern part of the sky, and most of our imaging is up above, or to the north, I guess. But in this way, it's not as much of an eyesore from the street either. So we chose to do it rolling off to the back, which worked out really well for us.
Our neighborhood, the neighbors have been incredibly supportive, and we really get a lot of people coming out to see what's going on, a lot of curious people. And again, we do outreach. So we have the Scouts and several other organizations that we've had the opportunity to entertain as well. So we really haven't gotten any complaints, as you might expect you would get in some neighborhoods, but people have been super supportive on this thing, and we always try and give back to the community.
What I usually find is that the only complaints that anybody ever gets is if you're in a community where you have a homeowners association or POA program or something like that, where there's strict, very strict, rules on what you can put in your own backyard. I think that most people think it's cool that there is an observatory in their neighbor's backyard, because for the very reasons that you're talking about, because they like to come over and enjoy the night sky. It's just something really cool and unusual to do for most people, to observe, get a great observation of a planet or a deep sky object or whatever. If you're making astrophotographs, they get to see the sky like they've never seen it before, so I think it's wonderful. Now, how big is your roll-off roof observatory? What are the dimensions?
It's 10 feet by 12 feet.
10 by 12. Okay. So you've got 3 telescopes in there. Is there plenty of room for people to sit down, or how comfortable is it?
If we are having an event or we're going to have people out, we'll try and restrict that to 1 scope. Particularly if we're using that big 152 with its image train and everything, that thing's 6 feet long. But if we're having just a small group of people, there's ample room for 2 or 3 scopes and still have people to manipulate and get around in between. And if you're doing visual as well as astrophotography, which we would try and do, you can get those folks in there and have them looking without, tripping over themselves or some of the equipment. So that works out really well.
Awesome. That's
Plus,
awesome.
in one of those pictures we have that showed the front, we still have some room up front too. A little pad with tables and chairs that you can sit at, and you could have a scope there on tripod. And you could still do some extra visual or imaging for that matter. So it's really nice the way it turned out.
Having a big open roof like that is nice as well, because if you see a bolide or meteor or any other kind of sort of quick moving thing going across the sky, satellite, you're going to see it. In a roll off roof observatory. We sell domes, observatory domes. The dome has its advantage because it's a lot of wind protection. And if you have a lot of light pollution, it can, shield off your telescope a little bit better than a simple roll-off roof. But the simpleness of the roll-off roof is also a nice feature, because domes bind up. They need maintenance and stuff, and sometimes, if the dome gets large, then you need special knowledge on how to really maintain it, and so with your roll-off roof observatory, one that you built yourself, you know how to fix it yourself too. So that's the deal.
That's exactly right.
That's true.
Right. So to make the roll-off roof part work, what kind of mechanism do you have? Are you just pushing it closed, or does it have electric opening?
That's a perfect question, and right now it is just mechanical, and it's we literally push the thing off and on. But ultimately, in the near future, we are going to put a motor on that thing with a remote control, and have a limiter switch on the closed portion and the open portion, where it will shut itself off when it reaches those maximum throws, so that we can simply push a remote and have the thing open and close, similar to a garage door.
Garage door opener. Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. David Levy uses a roll-off roof observatory. This one, his is much larger than what you've got here. And he has, oh my goodness, I think I counted 10 telescopes in his observatory one time. So
that's incredible.
But he's out there all the time, and it's like his, it's kind of like his natural open air living room, or almost like a den, kind of like scenario, and very comfortable for him. He's out there with his telescopes, with his Schmidt camera, with his Schmidt Cassegrains, with his refractors, with his Dobsonians that he has out there, and it's always ready to go, and so at a moment's notice, all he has to do is just open it up, go observe. Of course, David's always looking for comets, right? So that's his deal. I think personally that especially with the low investment of $3,500, you are making a great investment back into yourself, because you buy the gear. The gear is, good gear is not inexpensive, but I think that you get, you must quadruple the value of your personal value back to yourself, because you're always set up, ready to go. The gear's protected all the time. You're not going to get tired of, pulling the gear out, setting it up, doing another polar alignment and stuff, But I do know that you have your setup where you can reconfigure it as you need to as well. So
We do, and honestly, we have a pier situated toward the back of this thing, and it is so nice when we built that pier to be able to just go up and start to work. There's no, like you said, there's no polar alignment. There's nothing to have to work on. Your connections are already made, and you can literally point and start imaging and just get after it for the evening. And as cloudy as it is and has been lately, it's really nice to be able to just walk out there and get after it.
That's right. You see an hour of clear weather, bam, you can go get it, So, then we do get situations like that where we have clear for, partially clear nights, So I think you're going to have great enjoyment from that. As of late, let's talk a little bit about the astronomy outreach program that you're going to do with the, you guys have always been involved in educational outreach in astronomy. How will you use your observatory for that?
The observatory, I think Donna had mentioned that we've got, this concrete pad is huge, so we've got tables and chairs and things in the front. And we're going to be able to stage people there and do educational, talks or in services during the outreach program, and then be able to shuttle people in, 1 or 2 or 3 people at a time, and be able to have them get not only visual but some hands-on. And we found that people really enjoy being able to take that iPad, place it in their hands, and be able to point that telescope themselves and have that image resolve, and it's something they did. And we like to be able to have those people either leave with a photograph or leave with a memory of something that they did with hands-on. And particularly our younger crowd, they really it just fosters an opportunity for them to take something not only physical with them, but something mental as well, that I think will grow in them for years to come. We certainly had that experience growing up, and we'd like to give that back to the community and have those children have an opportunity to do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
we have had so many comments in the neighborhood when we post pictures that say you just don't have any idea how that means to me and how that helped me today. Just get through my day to see your pictures and stuff. So, and we've had a lot of comments about wanting to come up there and see what we do and go through the paces with us. And so it's really exciting once we get this built that we can start doing that and start teaching others about astronomy.
Right. You touched on something there, Donna, about getting through the day. Okay. We live in a world that where we're constantly being bombarded by information. Some of that information isn't so great. Okay. We get scary news of crime or wars or the pandemic added, I follow things that it talks, where they talk about the effect of stress on people. Stress is today, and has been for a long time, like the number one killer. When you get a lot of stress, your immune system is compromised, and when it's compromised, then all kinds of things can happen to you. Hypertension, cancer, depression, which leads to even more. I mean, it's just a constant loop of problems that can happen. And I think, obviously you guys get it, but and probably a lot of our audience gets it too, because they're involved in astronomy. But astronomy helps you reframe your whole life. It helps you reframe your whole life, because you can think about the scale of things, the distance of things, the fact that you're connected to the whole universe. Astronomers start to kind of figure that out. Some when they're first starting through astronomy, they're fascinated by the gear, and there is that whole hobby of gear. But once you start to think about, okay, I have a relationship with the cosmos, at large. It's something that makes you feel humble, makes you realize your problems are not so big, In fact, they're almost non-existent on the scale of the universe, right? So, sometimes you're right, Donna. It is just one look at an amazing astrophotograph, and it can take your mind away from, relieve you a little bit from your hassles, your problems, your stress, and I think really kind of reframe things in a way that's more realistic. Some people might not see that as realistic, but in fact it is.
It truly touches our heart, and you hit on that. You could not have said it better, Scott. And we encounter people almost on a daily basis now. And Donna had one just a couple of days ago that she was talking about, and she genuinely told her that she was having a bad day and some bad experiences, and it truly touched her life. So like you said, we've learned that a long time ago, and Donna and I both have fairly stressful jobs, but this gives us the opportunity to not only relax and enjoy the outdoors, which we do, but it also is a great way to detoxify and realize that things really aren't as bad as they seem sometimes, that we just need to kick back and chill. And, we've got neighbors and friends now all across this world. And as you know, astronomy and astrophotography in particular is a very small world. And we're encountering a lot of people who feel this way, and those that we can touch along the way. I think it's our job, and it's good stewards of the sky to be able to do these things.
Right. That's right. And so I think it's wonderful. So let's talk now about you also touched on that whole process of why you selected what you selected as far as an observatory solution. There could have been other ways you could have gone, aside from even an observatory dome. One of the people chatting here talked about how they have a tough shed, and what they do is they roll their telescope out onto the driveway or onto the pavement. What made you? Did you even consider that? I know some astrophotographers too that have their telescopes on wheels, and they roll it out from their garage, and they do astrophotography that way. It would have cost less.
We've always looked for making it more convenient because time is precious to us. And the more that we can get done with that time, it's just so much the better, and of course less hassle. Donna and I went through several different iterations of what we might do, and I've been real impressed that there are people out there that will take a ready-made plastic shed from Lowe's or Home Depot or someplace such as this and convert it very easily into something that will work and function as an observatory. We looked at those options. Donna and I had talked about the dome, and we certainly considered that. And honestly, we almost went that route. But because we have so many scopes, and because we do image more than one scope at a time and enjoy that interaction with people, she suggested that we go with the roll-away roof design, and much larger. We were even looking at an 8x8 at first, and then it was an 8x10, and now it's a 10x12, and that's where that's what's coming to fruition. Right. So I'm so thankful to her for that, because that's given us the opportunity to do exactly what we want to do. It's small enough that it's still convenient. It didn't cost a fortune, and we have the opportunity to entertain people and educate and enlighten people. Oh yeah, and it gives us enough room to stretch out.
That's very cool, Mike. We use there's time. Go ahead, Donna. Go ahead.
Oh, the biggest I guess factor for me was light pollution. There, right across the street from us, there's a big post with a light, and it's on every night. And the street right there in front of us too, cars come up with car lights on, and that was the biggest factor, to have the four walls up, so that at least that cuts out on a lot of that.
So do the walls extend up over the top of your telescopes, or what's the scenario there?
They do
There-
not. What 6 feet,
6 feet.
is the height of that, so it's low enough that it blocks out the street lights. And we're in a Bortle 4, in case anybody wondered. So that's kind of where we are. And in addition to that, there's not much we can do other than filters and things that people do for the ambient light pollution. But to keep those direct neighbors' lights out and the street lights out, this does an incredible job for that. And we picked up a couple of filters from you guys that have really been a godsend for us. So between the walls blocking out the direct street lights and the filters that we've got that block out the ambient light, we're doing a really good job with these.
Sure. And the walls will keep the wind off your back and all of that, keep it from shaking the telescope too much. So that's great.
Yeah.
We have a couple of comments here. Mike Wiesner's was talking about, he says he has a Skyshed pod with a Me 12-inch LX600 on a wedge and pier. Now, Mike has kind of a hybrid observatory. It is kind of a dome. It's sort of like a clamshell. Okay, it opens up like halfway open to the whole sky. But he has the way, he built this thing where the whole observatory dome part slides back. So he can have, an open roll-off, type of scenario. He has a walking path that goes down to his observatory and all the rest of it. So, that's a cool thing. His Skyshed, with his 12-inch telescope in there, though, it pretty much occupies the whole thing, so a couple of people can be in it, but that's about it. Egon Reich wanted to comment a little bit about his relationship to the night sky. He says, "Hi, I'm grateful that my marriage to the night sky has never divorced me."
I know the feeling. I've been doing this since 75, so I can relate. It's been a long-term relationship.
That's right. Sometimes it will shout back at you with thunder and lightning and all the rest of it, but it always comes back, where you can have a serene night sky. Conrad Sanders wants to know where you folks are located.
We are in Elkins, Arkansas, so we're only about 30 or 40 minutes from Explore Scientific Studios, so it's not a bad commute at all to come in here and share our passion and our love with anyone who wants to tune in and watch, so we really appreciate that. So, yeah, we're Northwest Arkansas, folks, so we're pretty close.
That's pretty cool. Okay. All right. Well, do you have, would you like to share some of your recent images, or is there anything else that you have today? I know that you guys got very short notice to come into the studio. So
exactly, and unfortunately, I'm using a borrowed computer and didn't have the opportunity to put that together. I will say that Donna and I have imaged recently M51, which is just as you know, a beautiful galaxy, and M51b, and we've got it processed fully, and it really has turned out nice. And we want to blow that thing up. We, excuse me, have kept most of our images at 5x7s or 8x10s lately, but I think we're going to take this one and try and do a really large display and actually put it inside the Skyshed Observatory. So we've been pretty pleased with it. It turned out well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Conrad also mentions that this hobby is a great stress reliever. I think, out of all the things, I mean, you read stuff about trying to release stress that, doctors recommend that you meditate, and that anyone that's a psychologist is going to recommend that you need to learn how to de-stress. Okay, well, that's easier said than done. I mean, if you're just reading a magazine article about it, you're going, yeah, right, I'm worried about my job and my kids and, my bills and whatever life is throwing at you, and you go, how do I de-stress, And I think that astronomy and looking up at the sky is a very practical way to de-stress, because you've got something that, if you spend enough time gazing at the Milky Way, or even in a super light polluted sky and looking at, the moon, a bright planet, something like that, and start to think about, what it all means. You put yourself in a zone of sort of exploring and thinking about these connections that you have, your relationship to the sky, to the universe, and you can't do that and be really stressed at the same time. Okay, it's like poking a hole into the stress balloon. All the stress is going to come out. Okay, and but you do have to give yourself time to do that. And if you're doing astrophotography, or if you're observing through the eyepiece, you kind of get into this zone. And I have practiced meditation techniques and stuff like that, and I know how to meditate. But I also know that when you are studying, you're trying to see something that's very faint or something in the eyepiece, and you get quiet, and you're focused. Okay, not only through the telescope but in your mind. Now these are exactly the same as what all these meditation teachers try to teach you, but you're doing it maybe without even knowing it. Okay, and I don't know of any amateur astronomer that says, yeah, I had to get out of astronomy because it was so stressful.
Not at all. And honestly, those things that we encounter as stress, we consider challenges, whether it be connectivity issues, camera issues, a night where there's a few clouds rolling through, our friends in the big cities.
I know that, but
right.
And that does
happen. So
happen.
yeah, those things are part of it, and that's part of the challenge. And that's, if it were easy, everyone would do it, and it would not be as exciting or enjoyable.
Right.
For our friends out there that enjoy hunting or fishing, if you could go out every time and kill that big buck or catch that big fish, there'd reach a point where you just wouldn't want to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And with us, if it were always perfect, we probably wouldn't want to do it. So, those challenges make me appreciate it more. And I think Donna feels the same way.
Yes.
So we just, that's part of it, and it's enjoyable.
That's right. That's right. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Egon mentions, he says, your little portable observatory is very good for the California desert. That's where, he's out in Southern California. And I think you're right, Egon. And Conrad says he's in relation to stress. He says, as long as your equipment is working, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
It can't always be good all the time, though. Honestly, thanks to you guys in no small part, honestly, not because you're sitting here, but because it's fact. With your systems that we have, we literally have very few issues. We just go out and it works, and we enjoy it. And I appreciate that more than you know.
Yeah, that's the goal. Even here, we keep a very small customer service department compared to other companies, simply because we try to put in the quality up front. For instance, like the PMC-8 electronics, we built them. I told Jerry Hubble when he was designing it, I said, look, I don't want any of these back. I don't even want one back. Now, I couldn't achieve that, but versus the other company I used to work for, it was a daily deal. We would have, each customer service rep would have to take somewhere between 80 and 100 calls a day. And I would say when it came to telescopes, half of the calls had to do with electronic failure. And I just did not want to see that. When it comes to optics, that's the reason why when we get the scopes in and everything and our eyepieces in, we test them all again. We have optical benches. We check it because we want it to go out there. We want people to have, of course, a great experience, and all companies want this. But not all companies test this stuff 100% before it goes back out. So that is also something that has reduced kind of a hidden cost to our company, which, if you get something back, the hidden costs is, of course, you have a lot of time spent with your customer service rep. It's got, you're handling the product again Of course, it's got to go back out again. So there's all this time that's involved, effort that's involved when, we could spend more time actually being on the air and maybe teaching people more about our community and, how to get things done in the sky. So, well, is that a wrap for us today?
You have anything else, dear?
I don't guess so.
Okay.
Again, we always appreciate the opportunity, Scott, and I know it was short notice, but it was nice to be able to share the observatory we're building and talk more about what's going on. So that's always nice. So we appreciate that.
I'm really happy you guys were able to come in at this last moment. I feel like you are like you did what John Lennon and Paul McCartney couldn't do when they saw that they had raised. I remember the Saturday Night Live program where the audience collected together something like $1.50 in change, okay, and they were going to give up that $1.50 to John Lennon and Paul McCartney if they could get down to the studio and perform together live on Saturday Night Live. And Paul and John were actually they were together and they were watching the show, and they said if there had been any way that they could have done it, they would have done it, so but you guys did it, and we really, really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for coming down. And I think that's a wrap, folks. Now at 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern, we have the next Astronomical League live program, and Terry Mann is the host of that program, and she always has great people on, so stay tuned, and until that time, which is just a little over an hour from now, keep looking up. Take care.